So today is the 28th of May, 2020. In a couple of months, we're going to reach the milestone of the 25th anniversary of Windows 95. Now, I was alive in August of Windows 95, and who can say whether or not you, the viewer, was around back then. But for those of us who cut our teeth on the infancy of the industry, particularly the Windows/Wintel PC, the release of Windows 95 was somewhat of a celebration. There was a lot of hype, and it was my intention to spend quite a bit of time doing videos reflecting on Windows 95, the different software packages that were remade for Windows 95. But I wanted to take a moment to talk about a special project I've got going on for another 1980s hobby of mine, which is the RCA Select-Division Video Disc. And I'll get to how it relates to Windows 95 in a particular moment. Now, one of the projects for the video disc is I'm developing in an old office automation package called Enable OA. It's a database of all the video discs. And in addition to this database of discs, it will cross-reference actors and actresses and other performers in the movie. So, for example, if you happen to watch the movie Popeye, which is on video disc, and it stars Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall as the lead actor and lead actress, the database software will cross-reference for you and show you the other video discs overall or in your private collection that also star those actors or actresses. I think it's a neat thing. So while I'm continuing to do the work and get the raw title information into Enable OA, I'm creating a backup copy on a floppy disk. Now, the database files right now, because they're still small enough, they actually will fit by themselves on a 1.44 megabyte floppy. Remember these? And I thought, because it's been a while since I've tinkered with a disk compression package called DriveSpace. It originally came from MS-DOS. It had been previously called DoubleSpace and was released with DOS 6.0. I could be wrong, it's been a while. In 6.2, there was a lawsuit brought against Microsoft by Stack Electronics, which had their own disk compression technology called Stacker. Surprise, surprise. Microsoft released 6.21, which had no disk compression software at all, so I'm unsure if you had 6.2 with disk compression enabled, what would happen if you attempted to upgrade to 6.21. And then their final official release of MS-DOS 6.22 had DriveSpace. And of course, with the release of Windows 95, they had a new upgraded version called DriveSpace 3. Now, DriveSpace will only work on fat partitions up to the maximum 2 gigabytes in size. Now, I know you technical purists out there who know how NT handles fat partitions. Those NT computers can have a 4 gig fat partition. Those don't work here. It has to be 2 gigs. Floppy disks do work. Any removable media does work. So, in Windows 95, I created a compressed volume on this backup disk that I'm using just to see how big the 22 files, not all of them are for my database, but some of the other files are included with Enable OA as templates and what have you. So, I compressed the disk. I set it for the maximum level of compression, and of course the computer will, the more compressed the data is, the slower it goes, and of course vice versa. But how interesting that DriveSpace 3 can crank onto a floppy disk. It says, and we'll go into the details in a minute, it says that it can fit 14.78 megabytes of space on a single 1.44 megabyte floppy using the compression ratio that it is getting on the data that is on the disk so far. Now, if you've ever used DriveSpace before, text files, pictures, particularly bitmaps, not JPEGs, compress fairly well. Executables and other binary files don't compress all that well. So that's why disks with a lot of programs on them and other sorts of compiled programs don't compress. But I was actually kind of surprised that this data compresses so much. In previous experience, way back in the day when I would turn double space or drive space on a machine, usually the 40 or 60 meg hard drive in the computer that I was using at the time, the estimated compression ratio would be much higher and the actual would be like 1.2 or 1.3 to 1 compression. But mind you that for the data that's on this floppy disk right now, it's actually getting an actual compression ratio of 11.4 to 1, which I've been around a long time. I've been in IT more than 20 years. I find this is absolutely amazing. I mean, for technology back then. Today, with hard drives now pushing 20 terabytes, and who knows how far we'll get it, especially with quantum computing releasing, who needs to save space or worry about space these days? I just think this is a very interesting aspect of DriveSpace 3 and Windows 95, and I'm hoping very shortly we'll be able to talk more about Windows 95. I hope you're all safe out there wherever you are, so stay safe and hope to see you soon in the next video.